Guys, surprise, surprise! April 27, new PTR build was deployed yesterday, and I thought initially that it's just some updates to the auto tour and maybe the observer mode, but no, we are blessed with balance changes once again. So here's the new update, 1.36 update for Warcraft 3 Reforged. As always, this is a test server patch. This is all up for discussions. The past two patches have shown that the people who are working on these patches are actively listening. They're going into the community. They read a lot. They hear a lot. So please give feedback. Don't think that this will be 100% implemented to the game. This is basically suggestions, right? So disclaimer about that. What's changing? It is interesting because PTR 1.36 hit last week, and there it was just auto tour and observers, which are two new features, and it's great. But now they apply balance on top of it. We start with Immolation, which a lot of people still think is in a bad state. Mana drain per tick increased from 7 to 8. Mind you, that Immolation has been changed and it doesn't require activation mana cost anymore. And a lot of people still think this is too strong. Immolation is in a state where you use it on level 1 to creep very fast, and then you go into a different build, mostly with mana burn. So, as always, if you use resources like mana on a Demon Hunter, it has implications because it uses your Moonwell juice a lot more. I feel like it's okay to nerf Immolation a little more. I'm not too sure if this is the right direction. Maybe giving it a bit of activation cost back would be better, so it's not as flexible as it is now. Maybe level 1 damage needs to be reduced instead. I am not sure about this yet. I haven't made up my mind. But this is another change to Immolation. They see that it's too strong and they want to nerf it in some way. If you think this is the right approach, post it. If you think this is a bad approach, post it. Sentinel research cost reduced from 100 to 50. This is the Night Elf owls that the Huntress can summon to, for example, detect a harassing Blade Master or anything that is invisible and give more vision over trees. Less lumber always makes it so that it's researchable earlier. I'm not too sure if this was a bad state. A lot of people used it, some never did. It's an interesting state and an ability that I never really thought would need it, but with the nerf of Ultra Vision, maybe a little buff to this for more vision for the Night Elves could come in handy. Night Elves oftentimes complain that they can't really detect invisible units reasonably without a Potom Owl, so this might help a little bit. I'm kind of up in the air about it, but I don't see any big harm to it. This is a big one, though. There we go. Arcane Tower feedback increased from 12 to 18 on heroes, 24 on regular units. Arcane Tower feedback is an ability on the Arcane Tower and also Breakers, but in this case it seems to be separate, where you burn mana of a target or you do damage to a summon, or additional damage to a summon. Humans, of course, oftentimes complain that their peasants are too fragile because they get hit by spells quite a bit. Let's think Demon Hunter Immolation, Lich Nova. So this burns and does more damage on heroes. Is it just more damage on heroes, or is this also more mana burned on heroes? I gotta check this real quick. All right, so I checked it out, and this means more damage on heroes and also more mana burned on heroes. Very, very good against especially Immolation Demon Hunter. I was always a big fan of buffing Arcane Towers in a way because I thought this will help human in general against the early harass. But whenever you buff an ability or damage of a tower, for example, it's not only helping defensively, but also offensively. So changing the strength of the tower in general, I'm never really a big fan of it. In my opinion, from what I observed, oftentimes the problem is, will the Arcane Tower be up in time or not? And this Arcane Tower looks pretty damn strong. Maybe too strong. Maybe it's one of the ways of the dev team that will end up on 15 once again. So it was 12 before, they propose 18, and eventually we end up in the middle. I don't think anybody ever complained about the feedback ability. It is a strong ability. In my opinion, build time / upgrade time reduction would be cool. I suggested this before. So yeah, this might be too strong. This might be really strong. As a somewhat trade-off, the Knight's ability Sundering Blades, the bonus damage of it gets reduced from 15 to 10%. Sundering Blade makes it so that there's more damage towards units with medium armor, for example, Fiends, Mountain Giants, etc. Knights are really strong, and seeing a nerf here is fine. So the upgrades for Knights are still strong. It's just about the Sundering Blades. That was previously an upgrade, now it's built into Knights. I think this is a good way, because Knights felt really good in certain matchups. Troll Headhunter of the Orcs. Hit points reduced from 375 to 350. This also makes it so that the Berserkers have 25 less HP. Headhunters, not played that often anymore. They got hit by a nerf in the previous patch before, where the build time was increased. So once again, they're not touching gold, they're not touching the damage, they touch the fragility. And that makes Headhunters very fragile. A Panda was oftentimes a counter against it, so was Nova or Dark Ranger attacks or something. Might make Headhunters too weak. And the Panda will just roast them. And then we see Panda more or less every game against Headhunters when we see Panda already. I don't think it leads to bigger diversity or bigger quality of games. Not sure if this nerf is necessary in that way, when especially Headhunters without the Berserker upgrade are really fragile. So yeah, maybe just take it away from the Berserker upgrade in a way, if you want to touch the tankiness. But in my opinion, unupgraded Headhunters are in a solid state. Pulverize cost reduced from 225 to 200 lumber. It's an upgrade that we see very rarely. Adds more damage to the Pulverize of Tauren. Orcs in the late game always struggle with lumber. Everything that takes away from lumber cost for orcs, in my opinion, is pretty good. I was a big advocate before of reducing upgrade costs for Orc in general in the lumber department in late game. This will probably not lead to more Tauren, but it's a nice little way of buffing them. Cannibalize. Cost reduced to 50 and research time reduced to 15 seconds from 30. So this cut by 1/3, this cut by 50%. Cannibalize. Undead skill, you research it, and then ghouls and A-bombs can eat corpses to regen HP. For that, they have to stay at that spot. And I wonder if that would make ghouls too strong. Because we already see a lot of ghoul play. It's a very cool interaction with them that is also kind of unique. Because Undead has a lot of regen already when it comes to like Ritual Dagger, Blight, Auto Regen, etc. So you use the ghouls, you creep with them at max, you send them back to the base, let them heal, or use the dagger. This would get rid of the necessity to send ghouls back to the base earlier to heal them up. It would be kind of cool to see more cannibalization usage. But is it really necessary for the game? I mean, if you use Cannibalize, you're kind of stuck there and can be caught. But this would give Undeads a lot of timing maybe. This is interesting. I can't really foresee how that will work out. This would also enable, we already see it, right? So you send your DK away for harass, let's say, or your lich, and you creep at the same time a spot with ghouls, and then you have to send them back. That all requires action. Now you could just eat the corpses you just grabbed, and then everything is back to healing, and instead of sending them back to the base and waiting for a long time before you have to use the ghouls again, you can just send them to the next camp, basically. Could change Undead in a big way. I'd love to see this in action, for example, with a Happy or an Axe-Lord, to see how this really is an effect. But it's definitely above. Some people played Cannibalize already a little bit. Cool that they touch it, though, and that they realize that it's underused. Item changes. Claws of attack from 5 to 4 damage and from 9 to 8 damage. I still think that, especially in the early games, claws plus 5 have a huge impact. And this is always a problem, right? If you find damage early, you creep faster, you hit better timings. And also claw stacking leads to super strong heroes. Archmage in Mirror, for example, can get a huge advantage. Liches will be good, Blade Masters will be good. This also streamlines it. At the moment, it's 5, 9, 12. Then it would be 4, 8, 12. So plus 4 on every tier. In general, I especially like nerf to this, to the plus 9. Claws would almost feel a little weak. Because this is only 1 damage point more than, for example, a mantle, without the added bonus of the mana regeneration and mana pool. Makes definitely the claws weaker and more on a level with ring and gloves. But then the circlet really stands out. Like at the moment, it's kind of up in the air. Circlet is universally great. Claws can potentially be great in the early game. Will, for one hero, always be good in the late game. Ring can seriously help you in the mid and late game. And gloves are like, oh, okay, it's the gloves. With that, this would boost it so everybody would like to have circlets again. I think this has to go, like in general, I'm a big fan of this change because I don't want one item to have such an impact in the very, very early game from the first spot on. So this is, in my opinion, good. I think, though, that this has to go hand in hand with circlet nerf as well. So 100% needs a circlet nerf on top. In general, I like it. This I like a lot. In general, universally good change. Claws plus 9, really strong. Streamlining it, good. Making it a little weaker, good. Then this, amazing. Mana items have the biggest impact on the game. In the mid and late game especially. Also in the early game, like throughout. Whenever you find a mana item, it's great. With the exception of a few hero combos, etc. But this is, at the moment, like 3.5 coils, 2 water elementals, 2 claps. It's so good. Reducing it, right way. I do think that you absolutely need to also nerf the mana stone. Because the mana stone now gives you more mana than a big mana potion, plus the regen on top, and it's not that much harder to find a mana stone than a greater mana potion. In general, though, very good, very good. 200 mana is still a lot. And these items should have an impact. It does have an impact. But instead of 3.5 coils, it's 2.5. And that is way more fair. This is also not 2 water elementals, but 1 and a bit. Way more fair. I like this a lot. I also like this a lot. An even bigger nerf to Wand of Mana Steel. It was a very, very good item. The stick, it's a little more streamlined. It's just tiny, but it's better, as Wand of Mana Stealing was really strong. And Lightning Shield has been removed from the item table. Yes! This is sometimes such a lame item. It accelerates creeping by a ton. It can do tremendous damage to an economy line of peasants and peons especially. It was so good that most custom-made maps that we have in the pool right now just eliminated it from the item table already. So the people working on this patch are basically following in line with what the community map makers already did. So this is cool. I agree that this is good. So there's a lot where I'm having a hard time to foresee how this will change stuff. This, I don't think it will make Immolation useless, but this might not fix the current problems. Sentinel research, no idea. This is, I guess, to counter Ultravision a little bit. This could potentially be broken. This could potentially be broken in a negative way to make Trollhead Hunters too fragile. This could potentially lead to insane undead performance. And this makes it so that circlets are, in general, overall, by far, always the best. Which is not a good thing. And this, of course, needs to go hand in hand with Mana Stone. In general, cool. This again shows that they are actively listening. This again shows that they see some stuff on their own, even though this was mentioned a couple of times. This, and this shows that they want to put some eyes on abilities and such that are underused. And this shows that they have an idea of what is a problem. But of course, you have to see it as a whole. If you have higher cost immolation plus higher burn on mana on the Demon Hunter, if a Demon Hunter is in range of an Arcane Tower, just deplete it immediately. That's a little sick. It's not rework level of tanks crazy though. But yeah, might need some work. Just to mention it, there's a letter reset coming soon, if I am informed correctly, on Battle.net. Now, after the end of each season, the MMR that shows how good you are will hard reset. Previously, MMR did not fully reset after each season. This is the War 3 Champions way. This will be the Blizzard way. Basically, a full reset of the ladder after every season. Map pool. 10 maps featuring a collection of well-known classics and new community maps. I read that they added, for example, Lost Temple, Turtle Rock, etc. So more maps in the pool, but also more vetoes. In general, I do not like this. I would probably have to make an entire video on this. But I think you have to somehow force the player base into playing a certain set of maps. So I think 10 maps is too much. I also think the 13 maps on War 3 Champions is way too much. Plus the vetoes are too many as well. You kind of have to force the community to also learn new maps, for example. With 5 map vetoes, newer maps will always automatically be vetoed. But okay, giving the player a lot of freedom. Let's see if that works. In Observer mode, you now have hotkeys to swap the production with Alt-P and swap the units on the field with Alt-U. That's good. Please get rid of the control or reposition the control panel. and make it so that there's no hole on the right-hand side. It's really annoying. Tournaments. Reduced overall duration of the tournaments. That is very good, because in the initial iteration, tournaments could have lasted like 8 hours or so if things go bad, so that they saw the issue is nice. Updated time zone information on the tournament's FAQ. So I have to look this up real quick. So I just checked it, and they don't list the specific time zones anymore. They just say tournaments are global and each day's scheduled start and end times alternate to cater a wider range of time zones. Displayed tournament times are formatted into your local time zone. So we have to check this basically every day when the tournaments are. Could be that they do it like Monday and Tuesday is good for the American time zone, Wednesday and Thursday is good for the European time zone, etc. So that's cool that they add a little bit more flexibility. I like that. Bug fixes. Fixed an issue where selecting Blade Master's mirror image would break the observer mode UI. This is cool because, yeah, it looked like crap, and that is fixed, and that was a quick fix, guys. Fixed issue where the grand finalist in a tournament would not see their results at the end of the game. Cool that the best players see their result. Yeah, various amount of bug fixes. Ranked icons were missing from the ranked screen. Highest rank and race stats were being pulled from recent tournament history. That's good. It should be ladder history, not tournament history. Fixed an issue where tournament results screen would show MMR gains and losses for tournament games. Fixed an issue where the winner of the tournament would sometimes see second place in their tournament results screen. Unthinkable! That's like not counting the wins. Fixed an issue where sometimes you'd crash on login. Fixed an issue where you would remain in a tournament matchmaking queue if you entered matchmaking but then didn't find a match. Okay, that's some cool fixes. That's some good fixes. Necessary. I still think there's some priority fixes missing. There's a big bug when it comes to the UI frames that crashes a lot of custom games right now. It's been reported already, hopefully fixed until then. I still have a lot of issues with the observer mode. And yeah, lobbies are sometimes still bugged, and wins don't always count on the Battle.net ladder, so that should be priority. But cool to see all this work. Once again, it was revealed that there's a new team working on it, the Playside Studios, and now they drop another patch. Tell me what you think about the patch, about the balance, about the fixes, about the changes that Playside is putting into the game. And now, see you later.